consistently in good moods. I mean, the team spirit has been there from start to finish. It started in the summer. There's very good team chemistry, very good team bonding. There's always going to be let-ups, some players, injury or soreness or what have you. But overall, we've been very, very close to the best we can be physically. I think our starting lineup has been the same the entire season. Is that right, Alex? Do you know?
All but one game.
Okay, so those are things that make consistency. Where you don't have to make a lot of changes in your lineup. Secondly, Norshad is a high energy, high octane player. We don't really want to corral it as much as direct it. Mm-hmm. Right? We want him to keep up the high energy. We want him to be very aggressive at both ends, but we also want him to be selective as to how to use that energy. And I'll use shooting as an example. Most players are good shooters, but sometimes they're not good shot selectors. So you got to learn to be selective about the shots you're going to shoot. If you go to the defensive end, you got to look at, hey, I only have 5 fouls. I want to be selective as to when I might pick up a foul, trying to block a shot or take a charge or reach in and steal the ball. And what we need all of our players to do, but especially Norshad with the kind of energy he brings, is to be just a little bit more selective so he's not in early foul trouble.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thanks.
We're at Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel. Adam.
Hi, Jim. So I was looking a few minutes ago at the ACC preseason rankings, and Clemson was picked, I think, 11 to finish 11th this year. Obviously, they're having a fantastic season. You've been in the position where your teams have been kind of underranked, underappreciated, and then had good years. What's it like for a team to kind of be in that position?
Well, I think the first thing is when you're going through the process, you're not concerned about your preseason ranking. You're really focused on each and every game. How do we win this game? And if you focus too much on where you're ranked, pretty soon you're not ranked. You really have to focus on the next opponent, how you match up with them, because each opponent presents a different set of circumstances. They have different personnel. The coach has a different style of play. They play at a different tempo. And so you just have to focus all of your attentions on your own team, preparing for the next opponent. Try to be the best that you can be and know what the opponent is going to try to do and try to prepare your team for that circumstance.
Do you think that having the kind of chip on your shoulder can help a team? I mean, I think what comes to mind for me is watching The Last Dance. Michael Jordan turned every little thing into a slight, and it worked out okay for him.
Well, I think that's something that players have to do, and coaches try to do it with them. You try to create opportunities to motivate your team as a coach. As a player, you're always looking for things that will motivate you. And I think we've done a good job of that. I've tried to do it regularly. My coaches do a good job with it. And I think our players have been highly motivated.
Go to Luke Cheney from All Hurricanes. Luke?
Hey, Coach. Your team alternated between a win and a loss in every game of the month of January. What needs to happen for your team to have a more consistent February?
We got to win 2 in a row. That would help. But, we're playing good opponents. Those losses are on the road. It's hard to win. And they're very, very close games. We have our chances to win, which is the most important thing a coach could ask for. Put us in position at the end of the game that we can make a key shot or a key stop and come away with a victory. Unfortunately, in January, it was the home team. It was NC State. It was Duke. So those losses hurt, the Pittsburgh loss. But overall, I'm pleased with where we are. But we have 8 really, really difficult games ahead of us. There's not one game that you say, Miami is going to win by a lot. No. Every one of these games is probably going to come down to the last 2 minutes.
Go to Zuby Charles from Kane Sport.
Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on this Clemson's team. What stands out about them, and do you think them coming off a loss versus Boston College going to fuel their fire a little bit more during this matchup on Saturday?
I don't think they need their fire fueled. They've been fueled all season long. They're playing at a very high level. They've won some great games. They've won some terrific games at home against high-quality opponents, and the place will be sold out. It'll be a great crowd cheering the home team on. What we have to do is study up on Clemson today and tomorrow. Our players, our coaches already know Clemson. We've coached against them a long time. I've coached against Brad Brownell 12 years in the ACC and probably a half a dozen years in the CAA. So we know each other very well. We know their personnel. Their personnel fits the Brad Brownell philosophy, where they've got a lot of guys who are tough-minded defensively. They're the number one field goal percentage defensive team in the league from 2 and second from 3. So they defend both the 2-point shot and the 3-point shot very well. And offensively, they're very well connected. Hunter Tyson and Chase Hunter are really two terrific players, and they're anchored by P.J. Hall, who's a great go-to guy on the inside. So these guys are for real. They're playing very well.
Go to Marcus Benjamin from Keynes County. Marcus.
Coach, your team has played in a lot of close games on
Marcus, we can't hear you. We'll come back to you, Marcus. We'll go back to Michelle instead.
Hey Jim, I wanted to ask about Nigel Pack, the game that he had the other night. Those 5 minutes. What does that do for him going forward? And I just want you to kind of compare him a little bit to how is he similar and different to Charlie Moore, who also was able to to shoot up those big, exciting threes from long distance. How is he different and the same?
Well, first of all, a game like Nigel had is something he's done in the past, where he feels the electricity of the crowd and the support of his teammates and coaches, and it puts him in what is affectionately known as the zone. And he was in the zone the other day. His focus was clear. His mindset was free. Some of about shooting is you got to free up your mind. You can't worry about a miss or a make or anything like that. You got to really stay in the present. And he did that. He was definitely in the zone. He's similar to Charlie in their ability to shoot long-range shots. But Charlie was certainly more of a point guard distributor. I would say if you compare the two, Charlie is like Tom Brady, where he's got the ball in his hands, he's making all these great plays, whereas Nigel is more of a specialist, a guy who can make shots, and he relies very heavily on other guys finding him, because his best shots are from an assist. Someone throws it to me when I'm open. All I've got to do is catch it and make it. And when our guys are finding Nigel, he's at his best.
Try Marcus again.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you now, Marcus.
Okay. Yeah, Coach, just wanted to ask about the close games that you guys have been in, especially in late. When you look back at the film, particularly with the past couple of games with Duke and Pitt, what did you see that needed to change in those late game scenarios that you kind of want to implement just in case you fall into one of those scenarios again on the road?
Well, every game we've played so far, last year we played in 17 games that were decided in the last minute. So we have a lot of experience in dealing with that. The difficulty is trying to win all of them. Last year, I think we went 12-5. This year, we're, I think, hovering around 500 at the moment. We opened up the season in November. We won at Central Florida by 2 on the last possession. In December, we beat Virginia and Cornell by 2 in the closing moments of the game. We beat Syracuse here at home by 4. So it's tough on the road. The 2 things I emphasize to my team that we have to do is, number 1, don't foul, and number 2, don't turn the ball over. So in both cases, it really means just execute the play on offense. Don't get into a rush. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make a low percentage pass. And on defense, help each other. Try to prevent the other team from getting an easy shot, and certainly don't foul them. Unfortunately, the game is not played by machines. They're human. And it's so fast and competitive and physical right now. It's hard to do both those things.
Got 2 more hands up. We got time for 2 more quick ones for Coach L. We'll go back to Adam and then Luke to wrap it up.
Hi again. I don't think we're going to get a chance to talk to you before you guys played Duke on Monday. So just, what are some of the things that you learned about them from the first time you guys played them this year?
The first thing is they're very tall. They're a very big team, and we're not. So we realized even during the course of the game that our help defense has to be at its best, and our defensive rebounding has to be at its best. I asked Alex, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have won 24 consecutive games when we've out-rebounded our opponent.
Correct, yep, 24 in a row.
Right? So the emphasis is on rebound. The only thing about having smaller teams is that's normally not a strength. So we got to try to balance the lack of rebounding with forcing turnovers. We did a little better job of that last season of forcing turnovers, but hopefully in February we can do a little better job in that category.
All right, Luke, last question. Luke, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Coach, you compared Charlie Moore to Tom Brady, and I'm just wondering, is there a football player that you would compare Nigel Pack to?
I don't know any other football players, so that's why I compared Charlie to Tom Brady. Maybe Nigel is Joe Namath back in my day. I don't know. I don't know football. He's a shooter, scorer, quarterback. You tell me who the quarterbacks. Charlie could create, could distribute, could shoot, could score. He had so many weapons in his arsenal. Nigel is about the same size and has developed a real specialty. His shooting is about as good as you can get. Is it Steph Curry? Probably. He can shoot the ball from that deep and that effortless. But he doesn't have Steph Curry's size. Steph Curry's like 6'3" or 4. So that makes a big difference on matchups.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time.
Recording stop.